Hi, everyone. Happy Wisdom Wednesday. I'm back again for my second ever Wisdom Wednesday. As I was mentioning last week, I posted something on YouTube and on my Instagram video feature that every Wednesday I was just going to post like a little droplet of wisdom. It's just part of my offerings to the community people I have around me here on Instagram and the wider world and in my own Toronto community. And today I thought I was going to really go out on a limb, be a little bit vulnerable, and talk about some of the learnings that came up for me last week. Last week ended up being, I would say last weekend, this past weekend was pretty powerful for me. We are in the depths of Venus retrograde in Scorpio. Guess where my Venus is? Right there in Scorpio. However, I did receive an astrological reading a few weeks ago. I get one about once a year. So are any of you out there really interested in astrology, or you just piques your interest a little bit, and you don't even actually need to have an interest in astrology. I'll take some of that back. Even if you are just seeking, if you are seeking answers, or if you are not seeking answers, but you're just maybe in a challenging time in your life, or going through a certain phase in your life where you just feel like you need some guidance, I highly recommend Aerin Fogel. It's a bit of a drop for her. She's amazing, and I can put more information out there for you, either in this video, or I could maybe post something on my Instagram. She's quite amazing, very accurate, and it will definitely, I mean, we all get exposure to everyday, what are those horoscopes? And this is not a horoscope. This is a deep dive into your world, your life, your personality, your visions, your dreams, your family. It's quite astounding what she comes up with, and she gives you guidance so you don't walk out of it feeling like I don't know what to do. And she also records it, so you can take home the recording and listen to it as many times as you want. And the beautiful thing about these astrological readings is, for me at least, and I'm sure anyone else who's ever had a session with Aerin, is that you I would say even if you don't listen to it, the teachings that come through, because often what she's doing is she's showing you things that maybe you didn't even know you were doing. You didn't know you were thinking that way. Things in your life you didn't even realize were even happening because it's so deep in the subconscious. She brings those, by even just talking about them, she brings them up to your conscious mind. And then after days, weeks, months, even years after, the wisdom that she's teaching drops in, and it kind of comes to your conscious mind, and you say, oh my God, that is happening. Oh my God, that is a thing I need to face, or that is a thing I'm doing, and that's a behavior that I've always had, like potentially my whole life, and I didn't even know I was doing it until she said it. So the readings that she can give are really powerful, and they're in depth. Obviously, they're not just talking about your sun sign, whether you're a Sagittarius or a Leo. They talk about your rising sign, which is like your outward personality. They talk about your moon sign and what that means for maybe your career, for your relationship to your mother, things like that. So they're very powerful. And I find the guidance I get from them every year, it's like a treat to myself once a year to go to her, is really, really remarkable. And really helps me. It's like healing. It's like any other healing modality. Anyways, so that's something I did. I also went to see my utmost favorite spiritual healer, Kahn. Matt was in the city last Friday and Saturday doing a weekend-long healing, and I was able to see him Friday night for a couple of hours, and I actually got to meet him for the first time, which, like, just talking about that makes me kind of tear up a little bit, and my heart just expands a little bit. It was really powerful. And I bought his book, of course, Everything Is Here to Help You, which is his brand new book. It was Toronto was his last stop on his book tour. And so I had some wisdom dropped in from him, and some wisdom's been dropping in from some yoga teacher training I've been doing with a training called Yoga Detour. And Yoga Detours, I can go on a long tangent of what they do, but essentially it's a yoga and movement training. And I got a lot of really good feedback about from the universe about diving deep. Of course, Scorpio is all about deep diving, deep emotion, deep healing, deep listening. The depths that exist within us sometimes are subconscious, right? I would say that definitely it's a sign that rules the subconscious mind, and it can feel pretty intense if we're not like trained properly on, I like to think, on how to move through Scorpio season. So essentially, I think that would be my wisdom to everyone today, is to take the time to notice your fear that's coming up with, deep listening, and like maybe your inability to listen deeply, or your ability, or maybe notice where it's untuned or untrained. Like I talked about last week, the intuition is just something, it's like a muscle that needs to be trained. It's just practice of paying attention. And from Matt Kahn, my message was that I need to talk more about how much I miss my mom, that I've been trying to work out the grief in my head, and that's not really working for me. It's kind of, I'm not talking enough. So my throat chakra, he said, was a little blocked. And I'm not talking enough about how much I miss her, and that's the secret to grief. So that's my work out there in the world. Whenever I feel I'm able to, and I have the opportunity to feel like I can authentically grieve and cry and let those emotions out, I will. That's been my biggest challenge lately. Is that's also sort of the message I got from Aerin as well, that I not everything doesn't need to be okay. Everything doesn't need to be copacetic and fine, that it's okay for things to fall apart and unravel a little bit. And I think that's sort of the essence of Scorpio sometimes, is like, let yourself go deep, dive deep into those deep feelings. So that's been my big lesson. And then of course, Yoga Detour also mirrored something to me, just about, the positive side of deep learning. I'm doing a lot of deep learning about the body, the anatomy, the physiology, the way bodies properly are supposed to move, which now I'm discovering is all the ways, not just walking, not just running, not just yoga, not just strength training, a little bit of everything is essentially it. And I'm now learning, going deeper and deeper into my practice and into my teaching on like how, and that was a really great way to end the weekend.